are not a Big Ten team playing a MAC opponent this week. Every time we step into a stadium, we're playing professionals, players and coaches. And we got a ridiculous level of respect for that. And so, write your story, man. Follow your storylines about trap games and things of that nature. We understand what we're going into in Jacksonville, that's a group that's trying to kick our butt, a professional group, a capable group, and we're preparing with that understanding.
Hi everybody, welcome to the Matchup Show presented by POWERHOME Solar. I'm Missi Matthews. We are talking Steelers at 9-0, the Jags at 1-8. Let me introduce you to our panel today before we break it all down for you. Merril Hoge is on the move, but kind enough to join us here today on the Matchup Show. We also have former Steelers outside linebacker, Hall of Famer, had to mention again, Moats and Matt Williamson from SNR is kind enough to be here as well. The 4 M's guys, Merril, Moats, Matt, and Missi. I like it. All right, so Merril, you heard what Coach Tomlin said there. It's not like it's the Big Ten playing a MAC opponent. Is this a trap game for the Steelers?
Well, I always liked the word trap because I always thought when I was a player, we trapping mice. I used to trap gophers, and I was like, is this a gopher? I mean, were we trapping gophers? Listen, I think I always get that word always confuses me. Like, what are people talking about a trap game? Listen, the way they have played, the things that they need to work on, I don't see this team falling into a so-called trap. This is what they do all week, and this is the value of watching tape. When you watch what Jacksonville can do defensively, they're going to get your attention. And what they could do offensively, even though they're limited, they're going to get your attention. I don't think there's any true pro that's going to sit there and watch Jacksonville on tape going this week going, yeah, I'm just going to walk out there and win it. I think this team is really structured mentally. I think they do things in a real high professional manner. So I don't expect that. I don't expect that on either side of the ball.
Okay, Arthur, you've played for Coach Tomlin. You've been in games that we call trap games before. What is he like preparing you for a team that maybe doesn't have the record or the stats to back them up?
Well, this is why he came up with nameless gray faces. He says that because it doesn't matter if you're playing a team that's 10-0 or a team that's 0-10. You always have to prepare the exact same way. You can't allow the opponent's record to ultimately make your preparation change and fluctuate. Another thing that he does is on Wednesday, he's going to highlight their best players and the best plays, and he's going to make it sound like you're playing the 72 Dolphins by the time you get to the game. I mean, once he talks about these guys, you're like, man, statistically, it's not backing up what you're saying, but he's going to do a good job of painting that picture so that way you feel that sense of urgency. And then also when you're talking about just Coach Tomlin and how he responds to these type of moments, he's pulling up what the Steelers have been struggling with this year. He's going to talk about some of the miscommunications on the back end. He's going to talk about the running game and what they need to do to improve that. So ultimately, you're not even going to feel like you have this, you're the overwhelming favorite. You're going to feel so self-conscious about the things that he's corrected and critiqued you on throughout the week that by the time Sunday hits, you're ready to go.
Matt, Ben Roethlisberger said he's ready to go because he has not historically played well against the Jacksonville Jaguars. What do you think in terms of this being a trap game or one of those games, okay, you're going on the road, this could potentially be the one that you lose?
Yeah, I'm not big on the term trap game either. I'm not real big on playing down to your opponent either. I think that's disrespectful to the underdog. But these teams have a history. I mean, as recently as Jacksonville coming here in the playoffs and upsetting the Steelers in a pretty miserable fashion for Steeler fans. And Ben,
thanks for the reminder, Matt. We appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm sorry to bring that up. There's still some familiar faces that remember that. And even since Jacksonville came in the league, this has been somewhat of a rivalry between these franchises. They were in the same division for a while. And like Merril said, if you watch the tape, They played the Packers, one of the better teams in the league, extremely strong last week. And just 2 weeks ago, the Steelers stumbled in a trap game against Dallas. I don't see it happening again at all.
All right, one thing Coach Tomlin said after looking at the Bengals tape he wants the team to work on in practice is the run game and its ineffectiveness. So let's take a look at some numbers before we discuss. We have talked about it the past 3 weeks, but weeks 1 through 6, the Steelers were averaging 136.8 rushing yards per game. That was 9th in the league. Then weeks 7 through 10th, only 58 rushing yards per game, last in the NFL. So, Both, I want to start with you. Do you feel like it is ineffective? And if so, how do you fix it?
Yeah, it's definitely been ineffective, and I am concerned about it because right now the Steelers are a very one-dimensional offense. Now, the beauty is the Steelers are so talented and so good at that one dimension that they've been able to overcome the obstacles. But as the road begins to narrow and we get to the playoffs, that you're going to have to be able to run that ball and effectively run the ball as well. So in terms of fixing it, I do think it's going to be a little bit more difficult because of some of the stuff I think is more personnel related as it pertains to just the scheme of blowing guys off the ball. I don't know if we technically still have that type of personnel right now, but I mean, I'm concerned about it, but I still feel that we'll be able to be fine going forward with using the short and quick passing attack that the Steelers have been using with Ben Roethlisberger.
All right, as always, we ask our fans to submit questions for us. So, Matt, I will pose one of those to you. This one is from Heather, and she would like to know, do you think that this is a game, meaning the game in Jacksonville on Sunday, that the run game can get back on track?
Absolutely, if they choose to do so. And I'm not excusing the problems the Steelers have had running the ball. I mean, frankly, it's my biggest concern with this team. But we've seen this team, this offense, have success running the ball already this year. And I think a major reason that the numbers haven't been there is they haven't dedicated themselves to it. They've had success throwing the ball, and that's working extremely well. And defenses are also dictating it. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger has been exceptional at taking what the defense gives him, whether that's one-on-one matchups, whether it's a loaded box. He's going to do whatever they're least comfortable with, and he's been excelling at that in that stage of his career. If Jacksonville gives the Steelers light boxes and good looks, I think they'll run the ball great.
Okay, guys, I think we lost Merril. We will try to get him back. We're going to take a quick break. When we return here on the Matchup Show, we'll talk about the Jags' undrafted rookie running back. We'll be right back.
The Steelers official mobile app is your window into your favorite team. Behind-the-scenes access.
Oh, man, he is just running so hard.
Live audio, including game broadcasts.
That's what you call smart football.
Statistics. Press conferences and interviews. And Steelers Nation Unite exclusive access and benefits. That's all in the Steelers official mobile app. Download it for free today.
All right, welcome back to the Matchup Show presented by POWERHOME Solar. I'm Missi Matthews. We are talking Steelers and Jacksonville Sunday at 1 o'clock down in Florida. We talked about the Steelers run game, how it has been below the line, and Coach Tomlin wants to see that improve. Let's talk about the Jaguars offense. And Arthur, I will start with you for this one. Can James Robinson, the undrafted rookie running back, Coach Tomlin talked him up in the media this week. Can he carry this Jags team on Sunday?
Man, James Robinson has been very impressive this year, and even more so because he was an undrafted free agent. When you think about the different running backs that were selected before him, and you look at the success that he's been having this season. But ultimately, I do not think that he's going to be enough. When you talk about the Steelers' defense, them having Tyson Alualu back last week was a huge addition to the run game. It's looking like Mike Hilton will potentially be out there as well. You know what he means from a run game standpoint as well. I just think right now, in order to beat this Steelers defense, you're not going to be able to do it running the ball with this team healthy, or at least getting back healthy. So to me personally, I don't think he's going to be enough. I think he'll do some things that are impressive, but ultimately I don't think he's going to be enough to ultimately beat this undefeated Steelers team.
All right, Matt, what is your opinion of James Robinson and what he means to their offense, and the fact that in their last two losses, it's only been by a total of 6 points?
Yeah, and this team plays hard. I mean, there's no question about it, and Robinson epitomizes that. He's got nothing to lose. He's come from nowhere. He runs with conviction, snap after snap. He's low to the ground. He has good leverage. He'll bounce off tacklers, gives you a little bit in the passing game as well. Helps them stay on schedule, which they absolutely need to do. Jake Luton, the second, his third start, doesn't like pressure and doesn't handle it particularly well. So Robinson's very important in that regard. but he's not a special athlete. He's not super explosive. I don't know that he's going to break long runs. And I'm not, tearing apart anything he's done this year. It's been very, very impressive. But he's done his best work against lesser run defenses, and certainly lesser ones than he'll face on Sunday.
All right, we are through 9 games. The Steelers are off to their best start in franchise history with a perfect record. But as Ben said yesterday, it's not about going undefeated. It's about winning the Super Bowl. We have seen a lot from different units. Arthur, in your opinion, who's an unsung hero so far in the Steelers team?
For me, man, when I think of the unsung heroes, it's a couple of names that come to mind. Obviously, the way Robert Spillane has been playing since Devin Bush has went down has been, nothing short of remarkable. Nobody really anticipated that. But for me, I'm going to go on the offensive line. I'm going to go with Chuks Okorafor. This is a guy that, didn't win the starting right tackle spot coming out of training camp. It was to Zach Banner. And then obviously you lose Zach after one game. So for him to get thrust into the action and to see how well he's performed, especially as it pertains to protecting Ben, I think that he's been doing a great job of that. And he's just continuing to grow and get better. But to me, I think that he has definitely been a bright spot on that offensive line.
Okay, Matt, who are you picking?
I'm going with Cameron Sutton. I'm a big fan of Sutton. He's been a little bit blocked because the people ahead of him have played so well over his career. But ever since he's been drafted, he's done everything asked of him. He can play a pseudo linebacker spot. He can play a deep safety. He's best suited for the slot, obviously, and he excels there. He's good in terms of creating big plays. He has ball skills. He can get the ball out. He's a decent tackler. He really does everything well, and he's kind of a fill-in-the-gap player in that secondary, in that back seven for them. Somebody's missing, he steps up, and he really needs to get a lot of snaps. He's played really, really well.
Okay, guys, time for one more break here on the Matchup Show. When we return, our keys to the game. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
The Steelers official mobile app is your window into your favorite team. Behind-the-scenes access.
Oh, man, he is just running so hard.
Live audio, including game broadcasts.
That's what you call smart football.
Statistics. Press conferences and interviews. And Steelers Nation Unite exclusive access and benefits. That's all in the Steelers official mobile app. Download it for free today.
Welcome back to the Matchup Show, everybody. It's time now for our keys to the game, presented by your neighborhood Ford store. All right, guys, unfortunately, I think we lost Merril as he is down in the family van road tripping it. So I will present a key to the game today to help everybody out. And I think you are playing against a young and inexperienced quarterback. And just like last week, the Steelers defense needs to show up big. Get after him, disguise coverages, attack him with pressure, confuse him, and make his life miserable. I think that will help, especially if the Steelers offense is going to try to commit to the run. That is one way for them to be able to have a better situation starting with them. Arthur, give us your key to Steelers and Jaguars.
So it does play a little bit into what you were talking about in terms of confusing the young quarterback. But for me, I'm focusing more so on these two receivers, DJ Chark and Keelan Cole Sr. With the Steelers, man, as a defense, a secondary, they've been playing really well and forcing a good amount of turnovers. I feel like you have to minimize those two guys, though, because they've provided a little bit of spark in the from a passing game standpoint. Now, obviously, with Keelan, it's a double-edged sword, because not only do you have to worry about him as it pertains to the offense, but also in the special teams element. He ran back a punt for a touchdown against the Packers a week ago. So you definitely are going to want to make sure you minimize his impact in both the offense and special teams. But Steelers do that, I think it's a great day.
All right, Matt, what is your key?
You can't let this team get up on you. I mean, this is a remarkable stat to me, is the Jaguars are the only team in the league that has not had the lead for at least 10% of their offensive snaps. They've only had the lead when snapping the ball on offense 4.6% of the time. It's remarkably low. When you combine sacks and turnovers, the Steelers are the best in the league. The Jaguars are the worst. So just don't allow them to create big plays. Don't give them the big play that they can start playing with the lead. And we mentioned Robinson earlier and start to lean on him. You want this team playing from behind, and they often are.
All right, thanks to all of my M's, Merril Hoge, Arthur Moats, and Matt Williamson for joining me today on the Matchup Show. That is going to do it for us. We'll see everybody back here next week on Wednesday for a Thursday edition of Steelers and Ravens on Thanksgiving. Have a great weekend, everybody.